It's that. Yeah. I think it's like, now I've got the job.
Now what do I do? I got to figure.
Or they may not have the job and they're like, oh, I wonder if this is going to be the right move for me.
Well, yeah. So I think the first thing is, I guess it deals with flexibility. This is not going to be the last job you have,
Mm-hmm.
and that in a lot of cases, I see that students really want to have the perfect agency. This is a big name. This is where everybody wants to work, and I want to be there. And it's like the old Crosby, Stills, and Nash song: "If you're not with the one you love, then love the one you're with."
Mm-hmm.
Do an amazing job, and continue to keep learning and following the interests, because you don't go into it knowing everything there is about it.
Mm-hmm.
So showing that curiosity of like sticking your nose in, what are the planners doing on this? What are the media people doing on this? And then finding different areas where it's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that's really what they do. And then that leads to, I think, what Ronnie talked about, how you move along and learn more and then gain more, open up a completely different career than you may have thought it was in the first place.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah.
Ronnie, you will be much more eloquent than I am. So can I hop in and then you can knock it out of the park?
Sure.
Yeah, there's a really lovely word that I learned. It's called bricolage. To be a bricoleur means that you essentially are like always gathering pieces, and you're always thinking about how those pieces can snap together, even if they don't seem related. And I think that kind of perspective of essentially, to sort of make it easier, kind of MacGyvering. You're coming to every situation with kind of a MacGyvery approach of like, that's a nice old reference. Jeez. Anyway, how could these pieces fit together, even if they don't look like they might? Approaching things with that curious kind of puzzle mentality, for me personally, is definitely something that kind of helps me through a lot of difficult situations as I'm trying to build something new. It's super helpful for me. Because I can go, okay, I'm getting something out of this. I'm gathering something that I can use for later. So if it's going well, great. If it's not going well, at least I can feel like I'm picking up some tools along the way that I can use. But that kind of bricolage mentality of like always gathering tools and thinking about how disparate things can snap together is something I always really value.
You just described my entire career. I go back to when I was producing a radio morning show with Ebro, who was at Hot 97 and Apple Music, and things that I learned from him and things that I learned producing his show, I still lean on today. It's the wildest thing. It's the wildest thing. All right, Ronnie.
Yeah, I'm debating Dr. Curtis talking about I'm going to hit it out of the park. I think you're speaking French there. I'm going to look up some
A
new
little
words.
bricolage.
Bricolage. Okay, not. So I will say this. I started out in college thinking I wanted to go into account management because that's what the books primarily taught then, as like the signature thing you wanted to do in a career, only to end up in working. My first role was in out-of-home media buying, specifically for bus shelters and maybe like 30 billboards, just something. And I spent my days sending insertion orders by fax. So that's a long way, and doing media, which I was like, please don't give me anything math related, was my whole thing when I came out of college, like anything but media. But then I grew into media. I had a successful career and one that I could never have imagined on the account side, and done some of the craziest, most amazing things as a function of a media role that I didn't want. But at the root of it, I remember I said, what's most important? Like, what's in my hierarchy of needs? Food, safety, and all those things. But above that, the ability to learn and to be exposed. I got really clear on that early. And to go from out of home shelter buying to C-suite in an agency world and having maybe 2 or 3 roles between that time, like career changes, not roles, but career changes out of media into other things, to going into tech and like launching products and things that you use daily, right, in the course of the pandemic, then to starting, into serving in a business where I get to work with the industries that you all are going into. Like, that's like 5 career lives in less than 20 years. And so I share that to give you a sense of levity and understanding that you're not talking to Ronnie, the out of home buyer, which is amazing. I actually love out of home. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Fan, I can't get out of home out of my mind, but you can write the narrative that you want, but the goal is to get the experience. And so relax your shoulders a bit and take the pressure off yourself, because you have a long way to go to gain that experience, which is a beautiful thing.